Well, let me ask you, give me an idea of specific ways you've been able to help some of your clients. It's interesting your background is so varied. I mean, as a chemical engineer, you've worked in the fiberglass and mining industry. When you mention mining industry, a lot of people, and I'm one of them, when you say that, I'm not quite sure what all that involves. Give me an idea of what you did in that arena.
Sure. So I worked for a salt mining company, one of the bigger ones in the world. And in salt, the issues are get it from where it is, which is 1,300 feet underground in a mining face, to, in the case of road salt, on the road in the wintertime to provide for highway safety. And so there's a whole flow of operations from point A to point B. And in one instance, this was at a mine in the UK where we had large continuous miners, which are kind of like an army tank with a cylindrical set of teeth on the front end. So it just grinds away at the salt and gathers it up and puts it on a conveyor. In that instance, we were, we would mine out a certain length, and because of geologic issues, you can only go so far so fast. You have to attack things in a somewhat measured and strategic way, so you maintain the geological integrity of the deposit you're in. And that whole retraction process, you'd mine out about 1 kilometer, and then you'd have to turn the miner around and drive it back out and start down another tunnel. And when we were doing that, we actually had equipment behind that miner that had to come up. And that whole process took us about 2 weeks to turn the miner around, drive it out, remove that equipment, and be able to go back in. And actually, we mined 2 layers, the layer the equipment was on. And we looked at all the steps in that process, and we treated it like a NASCAR pit stop. What do you need to do when you're down, and what can you do before and after you're down to try and minimize that time, to cut that time from 2 weeks down to about 28 hours. And so, of course, this is happening in a record winter in the UK, where we had the Prime Minister calling up our mine managing director, asking them to make sure that we were providing salt to keep the highways in the UK safe. So by going through that process, identifying the things that needed to be done during the change versus things that could be done and prepared before the change or caught up with after the change, we were able to significantly cut the downtime of that miner and make sure we had a productive use of that equipment and kept the country safe.
Wow. Well, I just learned, so I had no idea. And how, is this down deep underground or not necessarily?
That particular mine is about 700 feet underground. Most of the mines in North America are more like 1,500 feet underground.
I had no idea salt came from mines like that. Wow. But, I know nothing about that field. That's pretty amazing. Totally amazing. So that's one of the areas in which, and what was your specialty in that, specific situation? I'm assuming you're not driving the vehicle into the mine. No.
It was really providing the framework to look at all those steps and identify where in those steps to shut down the miner, pull it back, remove the equipment, get the miner going again at the next level, to look at that in a systematic way and track each one of those, the times associated with those steps and what the bottlenecks were for those steps, and then come up with solutions to address them. So we found in this particular case that something as simple as having an additional fork truck available underground to do some equipment movement was critical to minimizing that time. And we also had some things like we might have some people availability issues, so making sure we had the right people available and we weren't trying to use the same person at 2 different places at the same time. So it was really breaking that whole operation down into components, just like you would at a pit stop, to figure out what can we eliminate, what can we do differently. So it was really coming in, helping the team with the tools to do that operation, which was my part of the puzzle.